Ladies and gentlemen, do we have a race? I am here in Cologne, Germany. I have some stuff to show you behind the scenes, but I'll put it in a different video because my camera's here and the SD card reader is not. So wait for that. But we have a race that was potentially worryingly easy. I didn't think it was, but when I arrived here and I was talking to the leadership, I was having a quick chat with Roger and co. There was like a feel like, I don't know, man, this heroic week, we're kind of so far ahead compared to the usual race where we have to do all our management during, Mythic being available, that maybe we're just going to go in and kind of like stomp depending on the tuning. I didn't think that was the case after Methuzahla. The Blizzard's kind of gotten much, much better with the tuning of the bosses themselves. And also, they didn't change the classes that much overall, right? There's still a class imbalance, 100%. Poor Canex is here, and he's just like, oh my god, please buff my Moonkin, please. Not looking like it's going to happen enough. They have had a buff, but it's not enough. So what the hell has happened? Here was the theory, right? Here was the theory on this, and I can tell you how the guys have reacted to it, is that there was something going to happen at boss 5 and 6. I can tell you, me and Alex have been talking about this endlessly because he wasn't believing it compared to what's happening to the other ones, but I had the vibe as well. It's like something weird is going to happen at boss 5 or 6. I was like, why? Why do you think that's going to happen? It's like, guys, Blizzard has this kind of design model now that they do for the raid, which is like a good portion of it is totally a worthwhile, sturdy challenge, like 2-3 week challenge in some cases, for 90% of the guilds. Like, they'll have plenty of content to be working through and getting on with. Then they kind of dial it up at the back end, which is like more the Race to World First stuff, right? That's going to be like the Race to World First stuff where you are going to see some extreme things and Blizzard creating things that are like really pushing the boundaries of what the game could do. And the only way they can really do that is by figuring out how powerful the guilds are, your liquids, your echoes, your methods. They need to know how powerful they're going to be in order to create these bosses, because it doesn't matter how like strategically hard they make them, I suppose you could say, if they're just going to overgear the crap out of it, doesn't do enough damage to kill anybody, they're just going to crush like some dangerous ad that spawns, whatever it might be, some absorb shield, they're just going to mash through it if they're too powerful, and that leads us to like an Aberrus situation, which is a dirty word here, by the way. If you ever hear, certainly someone from the Echo team saying, oh my god, it's Aberrus, it's because it's just falling over and there's no challenge, and Echo always has to play a little tiny bit behind, although US had extended maintenance this time, so it's not that different. And so it was, there was this vibe going around that the model recently has had this ramp up, right? We've seen it since like Lords of Dread, Rygalon going into the jailer, and then we had it a little misstep in Aberrus, and the Mithuzahla did the same thing. Then they used Swolderon to sort of balance and decide how much HP and damage T-Swift and, of course, Farak would do. And the guys overcame it, right? So we were like, it's got to be before the Queen's Court. It has to be. And there was a big disagreement. Some people, genuinely, I'm talking to the players and stuff, some people thought this raid might be over in like 2 days. And then Liquid made no secrets about it. They were going straight to Mythic, which is really old school. Like, if you're new to the Race to World First or whatever, you probably aren't aware of this because you're always being used to, like, splits upon splits. But that's not what used to happen. When we used to have Heroic Week as the norm, what would happen is they would do like they did this race, is they would do a whole week of splits and preparation and things like that. And then they would all the guilds would go immediately into Mythic upon release, and they would push as far as they could. They would smash their heads into like boss number 4 for hours, maybe a day, all on the hopes that they would not have to get more gear until they really 100% dialed in what the final composition of the raid was going to be. Ideally, you reach the last boss before you do splits, and that might take 4 or 5 days, right? They will really mash their heads into it to avoid any prospect of getting gear, because World of Warcraft is a gear-focused game, and you don't want to waste a single scrap, a drop of item level, because it really matters across the whole raid team, right? And so we were talking, like, is this going to be what happens this time? And they're like, no, maybe, I don't know. There's something weird going to happen. this thing that's going to happen. And then, of course, Liquid did go straight into Mythic and did the first 4, and they had a sneaky peek. And It was Alex who was like, I don't get why they did that. I mean, you're committing characters to it, and you know there was a lot of speculation here. And a couple of points are, they have so many characters, like each of these guilds is prepared like 12 or 14 characters each. You can easily, and they've all done heroic splits, so they're not min-maxed by any means, like the alts, right? They're not going to min-max those, but they can send all their crafting gear on those characters. That it wouldn't take them long to get them like pretty well geared, like close to their mains. And probably go and do Mythic on those and have a separate lockout, right? They can do that. They can just throw those characters away just to have a look at what is awaiting us. And that was the information. Like, it was scouting reports, essentially, right? What is awaiting us past this Rashanan barrier? And Liquid found out. And then Echo come in, but Echo has a rule, ever since, I think, from Side and Athreus, that they stick to their plan. Regardless, if it either works or it doesn't, but we stick to the plan and we do not, under any circumstances, let whatever Liquid's doing dictate what our plan should be. And our plan is always whatever Scripe decides. And so they went straight into splits. They didn't touch Mythic, even though they know Liquid has information. And there are advantages to that, which we've tried to explain in a simple way to to the live audience. Is like Liquid will know if there's a massive wall. Are the bosses really easy? They will know whether their weak auras and things are working. They'll know if Blizzard has changed the bosses, which happens from the PTR testing, right? Liquid will have all that information, and then they will go and do their splits, which will take all day. And during that time, should they need to make changes, they can. Do they want to focus on different composition? Have they seen something that's like, oh god, this really needs like 4 or 5 evokers, which is what we're seeing now? Then we need to focus those guys specifically and reduce the amount of splits we need because we kind of understand what we're going to need. So all that information. And Echo didn't have it. But Echo has the other advantage. They do start a little bit behind, right? Liquid is always like... Liquid is just about to stop raiding now, I think. It's 7:52 a.m. here in Germany, and Echo just came in and just got started, right? And so they know that, like, what's going on. So we had last night where they went to Mythic. I was casting, it was great. And they went to Mythic and they smashed the first 4. And then we saw the nightmare. We saw the nightmare. Oh my God. What did we see? We saw 7777777 on Nexus Princess, which, like, that's her HP, is at nearly 8 billion HP. I'm really hoping it is a Final Fantasy XIV reference, for those of you who know about Yojimbo and certainly FF10 with the 7s. I'm really hoping that it is an FF14 reference, because it's cool. But it's, like, mathematically, it's not saying it's not doable. These guys always pull magic, and they pull damage from somewhere. But if you consider in 30-man heroic, she has 4 billion. She has 8 billion for 20 man. It's the 6-minute enrage, so I was looking at it going, huh, kind of brutal. My gut theory, and it might be crackpot theory, is that Blizzard is like way overbuffed her HP to figure out what is the correct HP soon. But it has also led to a weird situation where I think both guilds have looked at this and gone, well, we're not doing that. So we're going to... There's supposed to be a choice here, right? You can either go and do Brood Twister or you can go and do Nexus Princess. But they've looked at Nexus Princess and gone, we'll go and do this one. This one seems more doable, but it's also incredibly hard. And now we've got a race. So I was at the gym. I was doing my run this morning, and I had Liquid up, and I was watching Brood Twister through the whole run. And it's brutal. It's absolutely brutal. And while I was running, then the Echo guys arrived, and a couple of them came in to have a workout before they start. Really impressed with the guys actually doing a workout before they start, just getting some of that blood flowing. And we're like, we're killing eggs today. Like, yeah, we're killing eggs. All night, like I can tell you, the Echo team, all night, the mathematicians have been crunching, because that's their job, right? Like, the players sleep. And through the night, all the information they've gathered, they had looks. They had to turn the stream off, annoyingly, while I was casting. It was brutal. To figure out what the strategy is here, adapt things. So I know, like, our weak aura guys have been up all night. And I think Potter's been up most of the night working out how do we heal this in case we need to, like, 2-heal this, right? Because it needs so much damage, like all these crazy things. Do we 3-tank it, 2-tank it? All these things we were talking about in the cast before, because even our heroic team swapped to 3 tanks because it made it just so much easier to deal with the big spiders. What is the play Echo's going to make? Annoyingly, one of the conclusions they've had is they need more gear. I feel really bad because right now Medic and Nagura are on the cast, and they came in and they put the raid together. They went to Brood Twister. They literally just checked that the weak aura was working. It is, which tells them which eggs they're going to be popping, so they don't need to piss about with that stuff. And they've got a little map and all this kind of stuff, which is great. It's lovely. But then they were like, yeah, it's all working. Cool. Go and get more damage because we're not wasting our time learning without the possibility of maybe killing or having to scrape through or something like that. So they're all in Mythic Plus now. But one thing we do know is we have ourselves a race. My prediction right now, and the guys are okay with it, by the way. They're totally fine. There's a good mood here. Actually, this is beneficial for Echo, that it's not going to be a walkover race. They don't want another, like, 2 or 1 day race. That's no fun. If they would have woke up this morning and it's like, okay, Liquid's on either Silken Court or they're on Queen Ansarak herself, then this is kind of crap race. But we're not getting that. That's clear. I haven't told my wife yet. We might be here for a little while. So it's looking nasty. I expect nerfs to come, though. I do. I think they've overbuffed. I expect nerfs to come definitely to Nexus Princess, but who knows, man? Who knows? This thing is a whole... If maybe Blizzard's done the math, maybe they did use Sakran. That's what I was saying. Like, well, Sakran's kind of the only one before we hit the hard bosses where they can gauge DPS a little bit. Maybe they did use Sakran. I don't know. Or maybe they've just gone 7-7-7-7-7-7-7 as a meme. It's not exactly all 7s, but it's mostly all 7s. As a meme, just to like figure everything out what they want to do. We might see changes. Who knows? We might see some like weird change to Nexus Princess where they haven't killed the Brood Twister yet, and so they swap and go and blast her because she's more of a training dummy, and then come back. Weird days ahead, guys. So I'll do a daily update as the mood changes here. And I am doing back behind the scenes filming, but my SD card is currently in bed and will be here in like an hour. All right, see you later. Bye-bye.